Hey Fire Fam, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it is just me, and I'm going to be sharing my top 5 wedding day regrets. So me and Carter got married June of 2022. It was an amazing day, probably the best day of my entire life. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was perfect and amazing. When I say perfect, there is obviously some things that I wish would have went a little differently, but honestly, I probably wouldn't go back and change that much. It was just my favorite day ever. But if I were to go back and had a few regrets, I have about 5 of them that I'm going to share with you today. Maybe you are a bride this summer or next summer or whenever you're getting married, or if you're not engaged yet but hoping to be engaged soon and you're just interested in some wedding day tips. I hope this video helps you out. And now let's get on with the video. Another little disclaimer, no matter what, your wedding is going to be perfect as long as, you are marrying your best friend. And that's how it was for me. And anything could have happened and I still would have been happy because I got to marry Carter. It was just the greatest day because I got to marry him. So you don't need all of these things in order to have a good wedding or to be happy or have a good marriage. Having a big wedding and an expensive wedding does not make your marriage better. It doesn't make you more happy, but we are very thankful that we got the wedding that we had. But in the end, as long as we were getting married and we were together, that's all that mattered. So I just want to put that out there, that you don't need to have a bunch of things in order to have a great wedding. My first regret, and I wish I did this would probably be the one thing that I wish I could go back and definitely change, and that is take more pictures. We hired a very amazing photographer. I loved her. She was my favorite vendor we used, and she was just amazing. The photos she took blew us away. She really captured our day. The only thing I wish was a little different is I wish I got more poses with certain people. Me and Carter have a very big family, and especially Carter because he has, 4 siblings. We had 4 nephews with us at the wedding, and Carter's parents are divorced, so we have step parents, and there's so many people in our immediate family that we had to take pictures with that we kind of forgot some poses. Like I wish I would have gotten one of Carter, my dad, and my brother. I wish I would have gotten one of Carter and his mom, and we got a bunch of pictures and things like that, and we got everything we needed, but there was a few poses I wish we would have gotten. But we were in a crunch time and not a very big window, and there were so many of us, so that kind of wasn't the best scenario, but we still got amazing pictures. I just wish we got more poses that I had forgotten. So what I suggest you doing is, I did give a list of poses to my photographer, and when I say poses, I mean me with a certain person, me and Carter with a certain person, like that. But there's a lot I forgot about. I suggest going on Pinterest and looking up a photos list for your wedding day and maybe printing that out and giving that to the photographer. I just wish I would have prepared more, I guess. But there's so many poses on Pinterest that you can pull so that you make sure you get your photo with every single person that you want. I also wish I would have gotten more pictures at the reception. I got 0 pictures with my guests. We got some candid shots, but it wasn't, I just wish I would have gotten more pictures, like phone pictures. Not even from the photographer, just more on my phone. I got my Aunt Rin, she did so much for my wedding, and I was so grateful to have her there and to help. And I got one blurry phone selfie with her, and I wish I would have gotten a better one with her, and it just didn't work out that way. And I barely got any with my guests. I think I got a couple with my cousins, and that's really it. So make sure you prioritize pictures. And me being a photographer, I was like, oh, I have so many picture ideas, I'm gonna get so many pictures, and I literally didn't. So just make sure you keep that in mind, or at least try to, because it is hard. You have so much going on in your wedding day and you just forget about some things. I also suggest maybe telling your maid of honor or someone else, because your maid of honor has so much responsibility. But if you want to tell your mom or family member or someone to remind you, hey, you wanted to get pictures with this person, or you want to get pictures with this person. So, kind of talk with your family, with your bridal party, whatever, and maybe do that. That might help. Another big regret that I have is not looking up while walking down the aisle. There is no greater feeling. I mean, I'm sure there is. I'm sure like bringing life into this world, having a baby is probably better, but there is no feeling like walking down the aisle to go marry your best friend. It is the best feeling. No one will know that feeling unless you have lived it yourself. And it is just this beautiful moment, and you have so many emotions. Like, I was about to bawl my eyes out. It was just, yeah, it was a lot. I was walking down with my dad and lots of emotions, and it caused me to look down. When I first saw Carter, I like wrapped the corner and I saw him just lose it and start bawling his eyes out, and that made me start to cry, and I didn't want to cry. So my first reaction was to look down, and I don't know why, and I regret it to this day. And my dad did the exact same thing, which is actually kind of funny that we both like had the same reaction, because like I just didn't like want to bawl my eyes out, because I knew I had the whole entire ceremony to go and say my vows, because we did write our own vows. And I was like, if I start bawling my eyes out now, my makeup's gonna run, it's gonna be terrible, I'm gonna be puffy. So I looked down, and I did get to see Carter, so it wasn't like I didn't see him at all walking down the aisle, but I saw him and I was just like, I'm gonna lose it. I'm going to lose it. So try not to do that. I know in the moment that you might just resort to doing something that you're like, why did I do that? But try not to. I wish I would have looked around at my guests. I wish I would have, you know, like looked at my mom. I wish I would have looked more at Carter and just like taken it in more, and I didn't. But it was still perfect, and yeah, it was fine. So I made it down safely. So, oh God, you scared me so bad. My dog somehow opened the door and it freaked me out. Okay, so my next regret is kind of hard to explain. Me and Carter were not that happy with our DJ. He was very nice. He played music. He did a great job. There was just songs that I wish he would have played. I feel like it was all over the board. I feel like it was like a slow song, or it'd be like a fast song. Everyone's dancing, everyone's having a good time, and then he played the slowest song. And I just feel like, I don't know, he didn't really capture, like, I don't know, like he did a good job. Our music was great, all of our music for the first dances, all that good stuff, but he wasn't like upbeat, I guess, like how a DJ, I feel like, is supposed to be. He did a great job, and you know, like, I still think that it went smoothly and things like that, but there is things I wish that were a little different that he did, but it's okay. You know, the wedding's over and we still had a great time. So with that kind of lesson, just make sure you know the dynamics of your vendors. With us, our wedding was 3 hours away and all of our vendors were 3 hours away. So we didn't get to meet any of them in person until the day of the wedding. Some of them I didn't even like really, I was just through email I've talked to them. So just make sure they really know your vision for the wedding, what you want. Make sure you know, kind of like I said, their dynamics of how they run things. And maybe if I would have met him in person and like gotten to know his personality, maybe, I don't know, he was very nice and I don't want to talk bad about him at all. There was just, I don't know, I imagined something different. So just make sure you know your vendors. Make sure if you have an idea of how you want something to go, make sure they are aware of it. And yeah. My next regret, I did regret this and it kind of bit me in the butt towards the end of the night, is I barely ate and I barely drank any water. I did have a Truly. We did have an open bar, and well, actually I didn't have a full Truly. I had maybe a quarter of a Truly, and that's about it. I think maybe a little more than that, but I barely had any alcohol. I didn't want alcohol. I kind of just got it to like have, like if I wanted to sip, but I did not want to drink. Me and Carter were we don't drink in general, and we did not want to be buzzed or anything like that on our wedding. Like, we wanted to be fully sober. So, and then I drank probably maybe half of a water the entire day. And then I had about 5 bites of food, and then we had to go around and say thank you for coming and doing our rounds and things like that before we started all the festivities. And I barely got to eat. Carter barely got to eat. And towards the end of the night, I was starting to feel it, and I was dehydrated. I was hungry. I started getting a huge migraine, and I had barely slept that night because I was like obviously so excited. I started to get a migraine, and Carter was also starting to get a headache. We ended up stopping at McDonald's on the way back to the hotel. We ate that food, but I could barely even eat because I had such a migraine. It was so bad. Right when we got to the hotel room, I took off my wedding dress, and I barely remember coming back to the hotel. I took off my wedding dress, and I don't even think I hung it up. I think I just laid on the hotel floor, and we both laid down on the bed and we fell asleep. Not your traditional wedding night, but that's because we had barely ate, barely drank any water. I mean, Carter was feeling it too, and yeah, we were exhausted. So definitely drink water and definitely try to eat. I didn't have like any dessert. I think I had a bite of a cookie, and me and Carter didn't do a cake, which a lot of people were mad about. But we didn't do a cake, and so we did like a dessert bar, and I picked out these amazing cookies, and I only got a bite of one. I think Carter had one maybe. Yeah, so definitely drink water, definitely eat, or you're gonna feel it towards the end of the night. And my last regret is not really a regret. If I kind of just thought of things that maybe other people would want to do before their wedding. I really don't think I'd go back and change this, but that is practicing our first dance. Me and Carter, now I danced for so long. I danced for probably 15 years, and me and Carter just spun in a circle. And it was like, our guests probably thought it was so boring, but for us, it was like, we just, I don't know, it was us, and it was intimate, and I don't think I would go and change it. I know that some people are self-conscious about their first dance, so this is something to kind of look for, or more like prepare yourself, but I don't think I would go back and change it. That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope if you are a future bride, this helps you out, and maybe I said some things that you didn't think of or anything like that. I'm planning on doing more wedding videos. I loved my wedding. I loved planning my wedding. And so there's a lot of things that I did that isn't really seen that much, or things that really helped me out that I want to share on the channel for future brides. So stay tuned for more videos like this. But again, that is it for today's video. Please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.